Well, you guys can see what the temperature is, what the humidity is. It's been a week since I cleaned off that piece of metal that I had done the burn with the peanut shells as the charcoal. I just kind of want to give you guys another look at this, see what it's done in the previous week. Well, there it is. And I can tell you, I can't rub anything else off of this piece of metal. So that rust is actually eating into the metal itself. So my conclusion is this. A while back, somebody left a comment underneath one of my videos about how today's modern metal, gun barrel metal, is not as not affected that much by black powder. This is my counter argument right here. And you have to bear in mind, friends, even though you're shooting black powder guns with much better metal, it's still not a high carbon steel. It's relatively a mild steel, and this is a mild steel, and you can see what it's doing. Well, hello there, friends. Thanks for clicking on this video. And as you can see, I have some items here on my bench, and I just kind of want to show you what I've done to help me better make DIY percussion caps. Now, we all know how this goes. You get the little die, you punch out the caps, and things like that. Now, what I've been doing previously is on my little piece of walnut here. Put two caps here, put a pile of my primer, and then broom it in. And sometimes you don't always get the percussion cap full. Okay, so what I've done is I made this little press. Okay. And the intended purpose is to put the percussion cap and then set this right in and then compress it with this. Now, a couple of changes for myself just real quick. Originally, I was using this device with a little brass rod to compact my priming compound. And this, the size of this right here, the diameter, is the inside diameter of small pistol primers. And it's a little bit smaller in diameter than the number 11 percussion cap. I don't know if you guys can see that wiggle around, but it's moving. So what I did is I got a nail and I sanded it down to the exact inside diameter of these caps, whether it be the little copper cap that we're all punching out or the aluminum cap that we're all punching out. So, how does this work? Well, another change that I've made is this. Let me get this into the bottle here because I just got done crushing up some matches and just kind of like refine it a little bit, make sure there's not a whole lot of pieces of wood in here. Okay, now the other thing that I did, instead of brooming everything in, I took a 22 shell and I figured out how much of my priming compound, in this time match heads, would it take to fill up 2 percussion caps, because my little board, I only work with 2 at a time. Okay, and this amount right here is precisely what I need to fill 2 of those percussion caps. And because I'm not brooming it in and I'm actually watching it I can actually see that the entire percussion cap is filling up with these match head priming compound. Okay, so let me demonstrate real quick here. Let me get the camera turned around so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, hopefully you guys can, so let me get in the camera here, see that that's full. Okay. And at this point I can see precisely that the caps are full and I don't have to broom everything into place. Line it up and push it down. That way there, I know that I'm getting equal amounts of pressure. Let me take these out of here. Equal amounts of pressure and equal amounts of the primer that is the match head. So I've got a few of these already made, and I have a few of them that I've already put some nitrocellulose lacquer or Duco cement. Let me get camera turned back around and we'll see how they work. Okay, I have the gun capped, and how do they all fit? Well, they fit good, and I guess we'll just have to try it and see what happens. Let me get the camera turned around so you guys can see for yourself. Whoa. Not that impressive so far. That one was okay. I think that was the last of them. Alright, let me get repositioned here and we'll see what's taking place. Well, that was a little disappointing, if I must say so myself. But I'm kind of wondering, just as an afterthought, if because these are Slix shots, if the fire that would be normally concentrated going through the percussion cap isn't escaping through those little vent holes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have some that I made the other day without this new device, and here we go, and I put a drop of that Duco cement thinned down with acetone. So let me get capped and I'll reposition the camera and we'll see if there's really any difference, because I don't know at this point. Okay, these are the caps that I made with the match heads and Duco cement to keep them in place. Not impressed. So, the next test will be with my 51 Navy that has the Triso cones. And if these go off okay, I'm going to pull cones off of Friday's Nightmare, which have the Slix shot, and these Triso cones, and see if there's a visible difference. And I suspect there is. But let me see if these things will go off. I just made 6 of these with that little press, so let's give it a test. Loud. Nope. Loud. Nah. I think it would work. Okay, that was the first one. Let me do one more test, because I want to load up the ones that I use Duco cement to keep the match heads in place. Okay, just to reiterate, these are DIY percussion caps using match heads as the source of ignition, sealed in place with Duco cement cut with acetone. Okay, let me get repositioned and we'll have a short parlay. So before I get the dial calipers out and measure, the cone on the left is the Slix shot. The cone in the middle is a factory Uberti cone. And the cone on the left is my Triso. And I don't know how well you guys can see, just looking through the view screen right here, you can see that the rim that the hammer hits on to detonate the cap with the Slix shot is much thinner than, say, the factory or the Triso cone. So let me get repositioned here and we'll take some measurements for sure. Alright, I have my handy dandy dial calipers. I have the Slix shot. Let's measure the thickness of that striking surface. It's right at about 24 thousandths thick. Okay, and you guys can see how I have that in there, and you can see for yourself, 24 thousandths thick. Here's the Triso cone. 40 thousandths thick. So you actually have more of a striking surface with your DIY caps. Now let's check the Uberti factory. $37 thousandths thick. So, what should that tell us as it pertains to homemade percussion caps? Well, I'm of the mind, as I sit right here talking to you friends, that the Triso cone has a much more thicker striking surface, which would detonate more of your, at least in my case, the match heads. And as I've shown in previous videos, I haven't really had that many. I've had some, but not that many issues with my 51 Navy in the Triso cones. Now this is the first time that I've tried these homemade percussion caps with Friday's Nightmare, my 61 Navy that has the Slix shots. So it appears to me right now that the striking surface of your cones may make a difference. And bear in mind, these Triso cones don't have any little holes drilled in the side to vent some of that back pressure to prevent cap sucking. So I'm wondering if some of that, because if you look real closely when those caps are going off, you can see the fire coming through those little vent holes. You probably have to slow it down and look at it, but at least with my eye, as I was watching what was happening, I could, especially with the Slix shots, I could see that flame venting out the side instead of going straight down into that little touch hole. So anyhow, guys, is it going to change anything I do? Well, no, I'll tell you why. Because just shooting here in my yard, I don't care whether there's a misfire or not. And as I've stated in previous videos, I've got 3,000 factory percussion caps, and I think 4 or 5 tins of those are what are they? They are the, let me go look, hold on. They're the Winchester Magnum. And when I go deer hunting with my percussion rifle, that's what I use. When I'm at rendezvous, I could use these. If I get a misfire, it's not that big a deal. Just throw another cap on. So anyhow, friends, I hope you can glean something from this, and I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up and share it with your bestest of buds. So long for now. Nothing, hardly. Nothing, hardly. Oop, the one next to it lit off. Interesting. That one did good. Hardly nothing.